Wow, this is a lot.
Dude, there's so much similarities between the world government symbol and I'm calling it the ancient kingdom symbol. The ancient kingdom symbol is the one that's on the Kozuki, the Alabasta, all of those different symbols. It's the big circle in the middle surrounded by 8 smaller circles.
Yeah.
And then the world government conveniently gets rid of the 4 circles on the diagonal and then connects the remaining 5 symbols. Coincidentally, these texts refer to 4 gods. And there are 5 elders who they say deified themselves. So what if the 4 circles that were removed represent the 4 gods? And now it's just the world government saying we're the gods now.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So out of these 4 circles, they remove 4 circles, and then they just connect the dots between. Okay, so yeah, if you take the sun god symbol, you just have this line and that line, you get the world government symbol, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You move these 4 dots. Okay, I like that idea a lot. And then you have the 5 elders who are deified as the highest deities, but then there's a person behind them that's Emu that also, gives them the powers ideally. So it's a spin on what Luffy is, or what Sun God Nika has, or Joy Boy. It's a spin on that coalition. Okay, I see what you're saying. Or the sun. Or I guess you could argue in some sense it's like crossing out the sun through the 4 deities, or the 4 gods that I mentioned.
Yeah, it's getting rid of the 4 gods, like the primordial gods, the sun, the forest, the sea, and the earth.
Right.
And it's just leaving humanity as the gods, or even the devil. Which I was thinking that the forest god, talking about like weaving their magic, nurturing its devils. That could be the forest god is the source of the 5 elders and their powers. Not just devil fruits, but specifically specifically those 5.
Okay, so
Emu could be the forest god.
So when I was talking to when I was going through a lot of the stuff, the idea that someone brought up, I think is actually more correct, is that because you have to keep in mind that this person is, as far as I understand, an Elbathian kid. Now, maybe not a kid, but still an Elbath, and they're very superstitious. So the idea of actual deities probably is not the case with actually deities, but more like there were grand events that happened that they signify to gods. You know how like people in the past, lightning came down and they called like a god, so it's not like something of that sort.
It said that devil fruits specifically, they come from the hopes of humanity. It's not one person like weaving magic and making those hopes come true. It's their hopes being made manifest. And I think their first hope was the sun god, a god that would free them. So that's why the sun god came into existence. That's why the Nika fruit came first. It could possibly be the first devil fruit ever.
That's an idea for sure, without a damn doubt. That for sure, without a damn doubt.
The bottom right of the mural, do you think that hole that they go down to mine whatever they're getting is the Ennie's lobby hole?
So originally I thought that it was some sort of like inner earth shit, but the more I think about it, the more I think actually maybe not the case at all, where in reality it could be way more symbolic of the cycle of death and rebirth, where the people that are going down have halos over them as if they had passed away. So they're dying. They're going to the underworld. But then also you have people that are coming up, and that's probably people that are, and like they're much smaller. So they're probably kids. They seem like, people that are being born. So to me, it kind of felt like it could be a sense of inherited will a little bit, where it's you have the will of those that pass on to the next generation. And it's symbolized in some sort of sense like that.
Also, those buildings remind me of Impel Down too.
Impel Down?
The buildings on the bottom right remind me of Impel Down. Like Impel Down could be a remnant of those old industrial buildings or something from the first world.
Jamal mentioned that the little
possible.
the little like puffs that they're carrying, they look like when people offer their soul energy to Big Mom.
Yeah, so it kind of ties together with your thing about how they go down and they look like angels. It's almost like they're offering up their life at the end of the day, and then they get a new life as the sun rises. But like they were praying to like the sun, so the sun heard them and then came down and la di da.
Okay, all right, that's possible. That's possible because well, actually maybe not. Because here's the thing: it looks to me like we don't have fruit powers that exist in the first world. They come in the second world because there's a mention of the breath. There was a breath upon the emptiness. The god of the forest sent forth demons. Or that's in the one translation, but the other one says the breath stirred in the abyss. The god of the forest wove their magic, nurturing its devils. So it feels like there's actually more. While the sun lit the embers of war. So the idea that I'm kind of getting here is that the sun god is in reality, or not the sun god. The fruits themselves came from whatever stirred in the abyss, quote unquote the abyss. And then it was able to actually create devil fruits. So I don't know if you can have like the whole Big Mom thing existing at this point in time, because there wouldn't be any way to really do it. That's why I don't really incorporate devil fruits at all into the first world. Personally speaking, I could be wrong though, but you never know.
Yeah,
cool.
And then also too, like notice how like maybe I'm not talking here, but notice how the gears that we see in the city are also shaped like suns. They have like the sort of the same sort of symbolism there too. Yeah, like each one is almost like identically shaped in the same way. But yeah, people that are working, maybe slaves actually that are working in the cities. But they also maybe dream for freedom. They dream to see the sun while they're working hellish lives in the city, underneath the red line, whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
it almost looks like the old, well, not old, I guess, but when they went up to Mary Joie's, the fishermen, and they're walking on top of the moving platform, and they're like, wonder what's underneath, and then you see all the slaves like pushing the gears and everything.
Yeah,
it sort of looks like Mary Joie's. Yeah,
that's what I put in my thing. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be Mary Joyce, and then the slave labor at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean that's a good idea, but I mean, as far as you know, though, the red line wasn't around back then, as far as we know, because they say that the god of the land was enraged, and with the serpent of fire, they cast the world into a ruin. So it feels like the red line was formed during the first world, pre-void century, and then also at that point in time too, that time and before, the Lunarians were the gods of that area. So I don't know how you get the Holy Land. From this point in time, when the Lunarians should have ran that show, and then after the Void Century, after the Second World, they lost that position, and then now became a sort of, unless the Lunarians did the same thing. That'd be some shit. If the Lunarians did the exact same thing, then maybe.
They might have lived with them at the time.
I think it's pretty implied by the fact that there's a Lunarian next to the whale above Nika, that the Lunarians were probably part of the
whale,
the Sun Coalition. Someone mentioned that I don't think this is the case, but if the serpent became the red line, maybe someone used Boa's power on it, and that's why it's so stuck now.
Oh, that's actually good.
That's a crazy theory.
I mean, like you get into like some Greek mythology and say it was like Medusa, the Gorgon, stuff like that. The Gorgon.
The Gorgon. Oh my gosh.
Because if there's one thing Oda knows, it's every mythology ever.
I mean, yeah, isn't it so interesting how we're able to like interpret the story in multiple ways, do the different scanlations, and like all the different hidden meanings that have like double innuendos. It's like Oda is like intentionally writing it so that way we see it in like multiple ways.
This is random, but you notice how one of the ships is specifically black, and it's the only black ship. I wonder if that has anything to do with the ghost ship that we're waiting on.
I don't know if that matters right now, man. Me, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just that could be Oda shading for all we know. Unfortunately,
True.
It could be, but we still need to see this black ship in the current story.
I mean, listen, we got so much in this chapter.
There's almost like no reference though to the all blue. I feel like there's no all blue hint on this mural.
That's where I think the whale and the rain
there's no all blue mentioned.
There is the whale. I'm just throwing it out there, but
there is the possibility that maybe the Adam Tree could be the god of the forest, and that maybe devil fruits originally came from the Adam Tree.
Maybe devil
that an
fruits came
awakened
originally from
zone
the
in the
Adam
Mural?
tree.
I still feel like it came from the Eve tree. Like there was a theory going around about how the Eve tree is above Fishman Island, but underneath Mary Joie's.
Yes,
And
yes.
from there you get like
should be that long, you think? Yeah.
yeah. And from there you get.
But honestly, okay, I would say this, right? I think that this tree is probably dead or lost because it probably got annihilated at some point too. Because like, you would think that, right? So like they talk about the breath that stirred in the abyss, the god of the forest wove their magic, nurturing its devils. And if we take at face value, it's like okay, there's actual deity of the forest, but at the same time, it's like hold on now. If the sea god thing is just the sea levels rising, then there just could be like a plant that was able to harness the powers of the undying flame that was lost long ago before the void century, right?
Based
Like
on how it gets translated, I think that sounds like it's really talking about like the picture that I gave you, Cole, the one that I made.
Yeah.
I kind of went over like what each of the parts could represent. I don't know if you felt that part of it.
Yeah, so you said creation of the fruits, and then you have underneath that Joy Boy declaring war. The D clan looks like a half moon, but you don't talk about the breath stirred in the abyss. That part right there is not like so you don't address that part.
That one's because I just don't know where to go with that. Like a lot of the things is like one thing that has to I think make sense somewhere here is because devil fruits are so important. I'm not going against now that. Depending on if Emu does become the final villain, we actually just might get a Luffy Blackbeard team up, and the Yami Yami no Mi might get the same treatment that the Nika fruit did.
I don't think so.
Cool
So
yeah.
Like when his devil fruit awakens, when the Yami awakens, instead of darkness, it might become void.
I mean, it could awaken. It's not out of the question, but at the same time,
but I'm saying it turns into like a void.
Because I don't know how it works with like low awakenings. No one does actually at this point in time.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, but I think that so I don't know if we actually needed a team per se because it feels like the forces because it looks like that's what they did back in the day. But at the same time, now it's like you have because right now it looks like everyone has to kind of vie. According to Vegapunk's thing, everyone has to now fight for the One Piece treasure, and no one, not even knows where it's located, as far as you know. So the One Piece treasure is gonna be like the thing that's gonna like shape the world the most.
Okay, so I've kind of talked about this before a while ago, but like this mural, I feel like just crazy. I can't believe I would have showed this. Like I feel like this is some shit we would have saw on Laugh Tale. Like I feel like this is like spoiler territory. It's so crazy with this mural. But anyway, so you know how Luffy has two dreams? I think he is basically his dreams are the embodiment of both Nika and Joy Boy's dream. So like I think Joy Boy's dream and being the first pirate and whatnot was to find the One Piece and to like defeat Emu. And so I feel like that's Luffy's obvious dream is to become the king of pirates and find the One Piece. So that's the one dream. Now the secret dream, I think, is what Nika's dream was, and stick with me. And it's basically to make everybody's dreams come true. And I think Nika actually succeeded in doing that. And basically I think Nika created the devil fruits. And that's basically kind of what Vegapunk was talking about, how devil fruits are everyone's desires. And so basically, I think Luffy's second dream is that he wants to make everyone's dreams come true. And that's why everyone always has these crazy reactions to it. And by finding the One Piece, he can actually do it. So basically, I do think in the ancient era, and this is before this mural, and this is why I think the mural like really confirms what I'm thinking here. I think the tree we see here, this is gonna sound crazy, I think somehow, some way that is Nika. Like either his spirit passed on into like the rubber tree, kind of what they talk about in Skypiea. And or he literally transformed into a freaking tree and like spawned his devil fruit. And I think whatever devil fruit Emu has, or whatever he is, the devil fruit, or whatever it is,
the rubber tree. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, I think he cursed the tree, and that's what they talk about with the curse of the sea devil, and that's why devil fruit sink in the sea. I think Emu's fruit, like he like cursed like the tree, because him and Nika go all the way back from the ancient era when they were like enemies. I think Nika and Emu, or like once again like Emu's fruit, are like actual deities that came from, and this is what I'm getting into, and what I think the One Piece is like this like spirit world / like heaven kind of energy realm, where like basically the desires of people can create things. Like, so basically, so many people were enslaved by the land of the god of the land that they basically the One Piece actually existed back then. So Nika was birthed from the One Piece, whatever it is, either like this endless flame or the eternal flame. And as they say in this this opening passage here, that the land of the god was enraged, and he used the serpent of hell. So I think the serpent of hell is actually Imu's fruit, like this devil fruit or whatever, and that was also conjured forth. And so basically, he used the land of the god used the serpent of hell, aka the Imu fruit, to basically defeat Nika, you know, and birth the world into chaos, as they say. So like that's like the whole ancient era, and so like Nika and Imu are basically actually deities that like once existed, and I think that's why Imu can create powers, because he's kind of similar to Nika. He's like basically the opposite. It's more like devil contracts, like kind of like in Faust, like where he's like there's like an equivalent exchange, so you can get like an immortality, but Nika can snap or Imu can snap his fingers and completely zap away your lifespan whenever he wants. Like as we saw with Saturn.
So Imu is holding the sun in one of the images, and you could argue that, okay, that could be a situation where Imu is able to do something similar to what, if you kind of go by like your logic here, Imu could do something similar to, let's say, what the sun god maybe do. Like if the sun god is the root cause of all the fruits, Imu is able to kind of give pseudo powers to people, and it holding the sun could be the reason why it could do that.
Yeah.
Because it shows that sort of correlation between the two. If that actually, because again, I don't know if that actually is Imu or that's the forces of darkness along with the, like, it's the 20 kingdoms plus the elders and so on, you know? Like that's what you could argue it all is.
Yeah, I do think Imu himself, I think Ivankov kind of confirmed, at least for myself, that Imu was an actual guy, a human, like whatever it was.
Saint Imu of Nirona, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was an actual guy that got the devil fruit, devil fruit, whatever the heck it's going to be. I just thought it was a sea devil fruit, but this whole panel kind of just changed that for me. Like, so that's what I think, like, Imu is a bad guy, but I think his like actual devil fruit, like kind of similar to like a Top Musica situation, where like there's a more
now we're talking
original devil like enemy that's like been here all along.
I want to throw something quick about the shading of the characters, because the one thing I've noticed is that Nika, as well as the three giant beasts here, are shaded almost black, and so I think that like Nika's the sun god and the other three gods are shaded black, but so is the character with the crown above Noah. So I don't know if that's like an implication that character is actually the sea god and is a real person, or was a real person like Nika. So I feel like if the gods are mythological in the world and they weren't tangible beings, then Nika would have been shaded like a human and not like a god. And then I'm also wondering why this other character with the crown is shaded like the four gods that we see here. So like you have the land god on the right, potentially the forest god is the bird above the tree, and then you have Nika, the sun god, and then which one is the sea god here? So I don't think it's the one on the left. I think that's Imu, or whatever Imu is, and it's probably like a god of darkness or a god of the shadow, as it's mentioned in the third world page. So I think that would be the sea god with the crown above Noah. Just based on the shading. If you consider the shading, there's only 5 characters that are shaded near black shading. And it's Nika and the giant beings and this one crowned character.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So the crowned character is the important character that kind of, so just how you have the super dark shading for Nika and the entity, you also have that for the gigantic bird. You have one for the gigantic snake. You have the buildings are pretty dark shaded too, but the king
and so is
well.
like the Ors character, but it's like almost not as dark. But then Ors might be the closest creature to like a god, or maybe each race is like the first descendant race of the gods. Like the Lunarians are descending from this bird god, Ors is descending from this shadow god on the left. Something like that. I don't know.
There's too much to unpack here. There's one thing leads to another.
What do you mean? Listen, like you just cook, you throw things into a pot and see what comes out, bro. Like that's what happens.
Yeah. Nico Robin's about to do it, dude.
Hell yeah.
I'm also the one that pointed out the planet in between the two pages.
Yes. Oh God, yes.
Like that's definitely the Earth with the red line around it, and this much larger planet is probably the Forbidden Star.
Okay, so you're saying that because the idea is that was the moon, but you're saying that's not the moon, that's the planet?
Well, if that's the moon, like why is a child drawing a giant line around this moon? Like that has to mean something. And Oda's also hiding it specifically. It's the most hidden part of this mural is this tiny little planet or moon with a line design around it that happens to match this giant Jormungandr snake.
Okay, so you're saying that there is
That's
okay,
the
so
red line, and
so
that's
over
Earth.
the fire we see this sort of celestial body that has 3 rings and 2 dots, and it has these similar stars that we see the folks taking up from God knows where around it. And then you have a sort of smaller celestial body that has a mark on it, like some sort of clover mark, I suppose. And then there's another one that has a line going through. That's a similar line that we see on the Jormungandr snake.
But it's a very direct, like straight hemisphere line, which would have to be visible, or like whatever child drew this mural had to get that idea from somewhere. That's why I think that might be Earth with the red line or around it, or it's representing the Grand Line, either the red line or the Grand Line, and that's Earth. And the giant celestial body
it's the egg
is the Forbidden Star.
Forbidden Star.
The egg.
The egg, let's go. Well, hold on. Oh, wait, because I'm gonna say, like, do you mean like the sun itself? Because I thought it'd be the sun, but you're saying it's a forbidden star.
I think the Forbidden Star could be the sun, regardless. Like the sun god came when they reached for the Forbidden Star.
That is the one thing that's actually not explained, because they say that the sun god rose, beckoned by the enslaved who reached for this forbidden star. And in the other translation, they do say that it's like it's almost like more biblical, where they almost have an Adam and Eve story for the other translation, where they kind of mention how it's almost like a, what do they say now? So there was a fire upon the earth, humanity succumbed to desire and touched the forbidden sun.
Maybe these slaves were not allowed to operate during the day, so they never actually saw sunlight. So their only access to sunlight was reflected off of the moon. So that's the sun was forbidden to them because they weren't allowed out in the daylight. So they had to work. They had their only access to sunlight and solar energy was through the moon, and that's why we have these moon references and moon clans as well. And that's why, like the D clan,
quite well with the slaves inside the Mary Joa. They don't get to see the sun, I don't think.
The slaves worshipped the moon, but it was in order to get to the sun, and that's why the moon and the sun are extremely important with the D clan and with Nika.
One quick question though: the thing that we have next to the whale, what did we decide that on? That being the
we don't. I just put it as a mink. 'Cause I don't fucking.
We said mink because the other one because like that how they only exist until recently.
No, I think that
so next to the whale on top, you have a Lunarian with probably a fire behind it, and then you have a wolf.
I think the Seraphim will be the third world's Lunarians because they don't exist anymore.
Correct, guys. Cole, hold on before you go, Void. This Mural isn't just we when we were talking to the Garden earlier. This Mural isn't just showing us what happened before in the first 2 and 3 worlds. It also showing us the future.
We think.
We believe.
No, probably not.
No.
Why do you believe? Why do you think otherwise, Cole?
Well,
because like when Robin is, because things came on that this person drew what happened from their point of view because it was made 900, 800 years ago, and then as far as we, no.
Said though.
Wait. No, wait. What do you mean? Because like Robin is reading the book that Saul brought. And then that book that Saul brought just has a stipulation of what's happening in the third world in the future. So the person don't know, but they're just guessing in the future what's going to be happening in the case.
Yeah, Robin's reading the book, but the mural is actually, it's definitely drawn in a weird way. What Robin is reading is potentially nothing to do with this picture. And what I mean by that is this whole picture could just possibly be the second world.
We can't have an answer fully because we have to have the actual flashback for the stuff.
That there's going to be more that Robin's going to read in that book, but we're probably going to get Scopper next chapter, I would imagine.
You don't think we're going straight into a flashback?
No.
Potentially not. This would be a great place to put one, only because if you look at it right now,
Yeah, that's what I think.
There's two big moments coming up that if next chapter is not a flashback, would probably be what's going on, and that is a formal introduction to Scopper of like what he is now, and then obviously it's gonna be who the God Knights are gonna bring in because they're gonna summon someone else. It sounds Loki's gonna be out for a minute, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, until somebody finds him, he's cooked. We all think that.
No,
to your question, we all think that was Scopper walking up to the castle.
Yeah, but I forgot all about like even though we saw the crazy ability from Shamrock, and normally that'd be the highlight of everything. I mean, nah, dude. Like this last panel.
That looks like shit, bro.
No Black Blade, crazy.
Nah,
I'm
bro.
not happy about the way
What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? He has a mythical zone sword. Like, what do you mean? You're not happy about this? What are you talking about? What do you want from him?
He's looking better than this dude.
Yo, let Shamrock cook.
No, scroll up. Look at that panel.
That panel of the two hounds, just like with the fire on them, just mad menacing.
All right, now Cole, let's talk about something more serious.
That screams mad menacing to you, dude.
Cole.
I mean, look at Loki. He's scared shitless. I see a black fire on his sword.
Or can he just not move?
That ain't no Pochita, bro.
I'm just saying,
I don't know
man.
if you guys talked about it, but did y'all talk about when Shamrock said Shanks did go back up and eventually went back down?
Oh, not yet. Oh, somehow
he went up to. He went to go. He went to claim his birthright, which was the sword Griffin.
That's gonna be an interesting potential. That's gonna be an interesting potential backstory because the question is gonna be when did Shank learn his lineage?
Shanks went though to back to the Holy Land after that moment with Buggy that we saw recently in that flashback that like made Buggy hate him and like
no, because it's like Shanks is a kid back then. I don't think he went because he's a kid back. I think actually more likely that he probably went around the time either before or after he tried to go for the gum fruit. That's what I think is the case. I think it's way more likely the case. I mean, okay, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I saw the Cerberus, I'm like, okay, if we see a hybrid form with Shamrock, I kind of want to see Zoro fighting with 3 swords. I'm kind of fire. I mean, it's kind of badass. I'm gonna lie to you, bro. All right, now I know.
I feel like it's hinting at they're gonna fight.
Are we assuming that Shamrock is the same power level as Shanks because they're twins? Is that the assumption?
I think he's lower.
Yeah, so he's lower, which means Mihawk is probably pretty close and has a relationship with Shanks.
16 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I think the community has affected Oda the same way it happened with Law and Kid. I just don't get your hopes up on Mihawk ever again.
No, you can just wait for Mihawk to do his thing. I mean, like,
how about
like there's a good chance that we never see like there's a because
Fanbase doesn't want to see him do his thing.
No, because I'm pretty sure it's like
Since when
what is it? I'm pretty sure
Fanbase wants.
Yeah, right. Because it's what Oda wants.
When he swapped Law and Kid.
Oda doesn't give a.
Oda cares about Mihawk just when the time is right. Like you have to let Mihawk is going to move when Buggy moves, and when Buggy moves, it's gonna be a badass moment, bro. Like if we see Mihawk side by side with Crocodile invade Impel Down to free Doflamingo, people are gonna be jumping for joy. Like finally, it's time.
See you. Bye bye.